I know Donald Trump's type. I know Donald Trump's type. And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win!
Yeah!
I'm speaking to you on phones. I'm speaking to radio. I'm speaking to television.
The hell are we doing right
Television's
now?
coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference.
No.
You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a
she's
news
not.
conference.
I've never
felt his
been
pain.
that impressed with his political operation.
Wow.
Biden's operation.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I just haven't been. They won the White House, bravo. So my concern was this ain't happening.
Whoa.
And we have to make a decision.
This ain't
for us-
happening.
This to happen. And the president has to make the decision for that to happen.
You may have seen this very interesting photo that is percolating around all over the interwebs. It was shared by the Kamala team, and Harry Sisson is a reposter here. This was from an event. There were a bunch of images, a bunch of videos that were taken, and everybody's sharing this image around saying, oh my gosh, look how incredibly huge this crowd is. Wow. And I'll be honest, at first glance, I'm like, yeah, it looks like a pretty big crowd. Now, what's so curious about this is that people are noticing that there are some interesting imagery, artifacts, and weird things cooking with the actual photo. And so if we open this photo up and zoom in on this a little bit, we're asking ourselves, is this real? And people are looking at specifically the cell phones, and people are wondering why the cell phones have a bunch of different stuff on them that kind of don't match what they should be looking at. So for example, you see this cell phone right here, looks like it's just a blue screen of something, right? What is that? Like, it should be, something should be on there, right? Like, not just a blue screen. It looks like it's a camera, and like that person is kind of taking pictures, but that looks different than what maybe that one looks like, which is way different than what that one looks like. That looks like just a white screen right there. Then over here, you've got this guy, which looks like he's got just a whole crowd of people there. And so it's a little bit strange, and you might say, well, you know, there's just different angles, and maybe they're on different screens, like this person, you know, doesn't know what they're doing or whatever. Maybe they're just ultra zoomed in into the sky or something. But then there's some weird ones that you'll notice, like this one, for example, is kind of red. So this one right here is like red. Like, what is that one? Is like her thumbs on the camera or something? Kind of not really. So a lot of people are noticing this, and it's weird that, you know, that one's like a black photo. Those two are right next to each other, and they look like totally different images. This one probably looks like real-ish to me. Like, that's what you'd expect. See, if that's a viewfinder right there, you'd say, okay, let's see, right there, right? Maybe that's the crowd, that dark part of the crowd right there, and then that's the sky in the background. That's kind of what you'd expect to see. But then that doesn't look like that at all. And there's a bunch of them that kind of, you know, don't match with it. So it's strange, and people are wondering if it's real or fake or whatever. And in fact, a lot of people commented about this. Apparently it came from this person. So Ben Dempsey says it came from this person, says it's from a digital director. It makes it easier for them to recognize it's just a poorly generated image. You might want to also zoom in onto the hands, the phones, and the images on the screen. The upside down sign is also an interesting touch. The upside down sign, maybe over here. I think we saw that in this location, right up here. Upside down signs. They're saying, look at the hands, look at the arms. I don't know. What do you guys think about it when you're looking at this? Does it look real? Does it look like it's digitally directed? Other people are pointing out, are those BlackBerry phones? Yeah, some of them look like Blackberries. Oh, and some of the hands are a little bit weird. People are saying, look at some of the hands, might look like they're off. They're saying it's not AI generated. It was probably just an auto enhance feature, right? Some other people are saying. The photo was taken at about the same time as 32 minutes in this video. So if we scroll over to like 32 minutes, let's see, right? So 32 minutes, they're doing this. And it looks like it's actually a pretty big crowd, because I think this is going to be a zoom out as they watch them come out of the screen. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't tell. It's pretty interesting. But I think it might be just a screen grab from this scene. We'll watch it. And then, you know, they'll pan back out, and then we'll see what it looks like. So did they add in a bunch of hands or something like that? All right, come on, zoom out. Come on. You don't have all day. There's Kamala. Great. There they come out. Kamala, Tim Walz. Now they're going to zoom out a little bit. Now see, the phones here, you can't really see all that well. Like, you can't even see the screens of the phones right now. They all just look like kind of like black phones, right? You can't actually even see the screens. It's kind of washed out. That one you can see. That one you can see. They're all just kind of blanked out. That guy's spinning around down here. Now they should zoom out. Like, that all looks real, right? I mean, that's sort of real live footage. And then hopefully they're going to zoom out for us here. It's taking a little longer than I anticipated. But that's actually the crowd, right? That's like the same angle. All right. So yeah, pretty interesting. Comparing the video to the photo, it says you can match 6 people when you look through it. At least 6 individuals can be directly matched between the two. Okay, but that's not our question. Yeah, okay. So that's fine. I believe that. My question is that foreground, all right, is the front of the image the one that's actually altered? Like, I'm sure that all is fine. Like, back here, I'm sure it's fine. Like, all of this section, probably all good. My question is, did they extend the photo, outward? So, anyways, very interesting. Why would they be doing that? They're saying here, yeah, that matches. On close inspection, they do match. Why does the image look weird? Somebody's saying because it's auto enhance. The device tries to identify objects and improve the image. And so that's what's causing it, if you believe that. Very convenient. It just happens to make the crowd look bigger. Isn't that fun? So there's a lot of funny business, a lot of weird stuff going on out there. In fact, Kamala is so scripted that she can't even speak different speeches. They have to fake everything, including her entire personality. Here was an interesting side-by-side that came out from Fox News showing how her speeches are unfolding day by day. Just copy and paste one thing to another.
And had a summer job at McDonald's. I had a summer job at McDonald's. So hear me when I say. So hear me, Detroit, when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. I know Donald Trump's type. And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win!
Yeah! All right, so that's Kamala.
Okay. Well, on the flip side, former President Donald Trump taking reporter questions for more than an hour yesterday. Not scripted.
No.
He tore into his new opponent for not doing the same.
I'm speaking to you on phones. I'm speaking to radio. I'm speaking to television.
The hell are we doing right
television's
now?
coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference.
No.
You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey has more. Peter.
Harris, the vice president spoke for a little bit more than 1 minute in that plain-side gaggle that broke the no questions answered streak. But there is no reason to think that her team might need to prep her quite a bit more before she talks for more than 60 or 70 seconds. Case in point, she apparently, according to the New York Times, told a group of uncommitted voters in Michigan that she is open to the idea of an arms embargo. Stop shipping some U.S. arms to Israel, which her team immediately had to walk back. Her national security advisor, Phil Gordon, came right out to say VP has been clear to always ensure Israel is able to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist groups. She does not support an arms embargo on Israel.
Why is she
will
saying
continue
that,
to work to protect civilians in Gaza and uphold international humanitarian law. But that's just not going to fly with uncommitted voters who seem to be of the opinion that they had moved the VP on this issue.
This movement has always been about policy shift, about policy change, about saving Palestinian lives immediate.
We want her to stop sending bombs to kill people we love.
Vice President Harris, as she tries to establish herself as the top of the ticket, has been looking for places that she can distance herself from President Biden. Gaza policy is believed to be one of those places, but distance from President Biden is going to become a lot harder because next week she is going to be on the campaign trail with President Biden. Harris.
Yep, and it's going to be fun to watch them together. They're in the same administration together. Still, she could fix a lot of these things like right now, but she won't do it. So here's that little gaggle that Peter Ducey was talking about.
What you got?
What you got?
President Trump has press conference today. He talked about a lot of things. I wonder if you have a reaction to what he talked about.
Well, I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it and hope he shows up.
Are you open to more debate?
I am happy to have that conversation about an additional debate for after September 10th, for sure.
He proposed two more debates.
Like I said, happy to have that conversation.
Why do you think he pulled out of the debate with you? Why do you think
I am
he pulled out?
beyond trying to speculate about how he thinks. What else?
Can you comment on some of his other criticisms? He
What
made
else?
a whole litany of them today.
I
Some of them are about your...
I was too busy talking to voters. I didn't hear them.
Some of the criticism has been about your vice presidential pick and his leaving the National Guard at 24 years. Vance said that he deserted his own troops or his own colleagues. What's your take on that?
Listen, I praise anyone who has presented themselves to serve our country, and I think that we all should.
Madam Vice President, there's been a lot of questions about when you're going to sit down for your first interview since being the nominee. Do you have any update
I've
on that?
talked to my team. I want us to get an interview scheduled before the end of the month.
Okay, so her team comes in and starts screaming, thank you. Okay, so that was about 1 minute, right? She comes up. It's about 1 minute of questions, and they're just ridiculous questions. I can't answer what Trump's thinking. My candidate's amazing. I'm going to stand by him, all that stuff. She's not going to do the other debates, obviously. She does not want to do them. She's trying to cope to say, finally, Trump is going to show up. All right, so Democrats are now warning Kamala, get your message on the economy right, okay? The economy is going to be a precarious thing. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm not hitting the panic button quite yet. A lot of people are hitting the panic button out there. We're all going to lose everything. We're all going to die. Okay, I know. It feels like that. It's an election. It's very emotional. I get it. Ebbs and flows. But we've got a long road ahead, and the economy is in shambles. Everybody knows it. Democrats are warning that Kamala needs to solidify her economic message. How's that going to change? It's Biden's economic message. Before Biden's withdrawal, the economy was the dominant issue, remains that. But for the last 6 weeks, the news cycle has been dominated by a rash of political headlines, including the uncertainty about the Democratic Party and others. Less than 2 weeks after the transition, Harris has only accelerated the attention around herself. Democrats haven't had to worry much about policy because they don't care about policy. They only care about genitals and pronouns. And Republicans have focused largely on identity politics. Not really, including Harris's race and ethnicity. No, you guys have focused on it. She was originally an Asian American, then she was an African American, then not an African American. Don Lemon said, no, So it's really her issue, not our issue. But Democrats say Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz, must go on the offensive on the economy. And they're already doing that. Like, we're going to bring prices down. How? You just signed the Inflation Reduction Act. And I hope Republicans really escalate their attacks on her. Wasn't she the tie-breaking vote on this? The big question is, can you win the message war there? Can you convince the hearts and minds about the future? The Democratic strategist says, obviously the Republicans are going to have an advantage on this. At the moment, Harris is getting a free pass. Yeah, that's an understatement. When it comes to the economy and other top policy issues, one donor said, but they need to be ready to have a strong economic argument at their fingertips when the stock market crashes again. The economy is gaining in urgency as an issue as it nears an inflection point. Federal Reserve's hitting the panic button. We just saw what happened earlier this week. A key recession indicator known as the SAM rule was triggered last week by an increase in the unemployment rate to 4.3%. House of cards. They're going to do everything they can to just extend it through November. Markets widely expect the Fed to cut interest rates at its next meeting to start stimulating the economy because they're freaked. Polls taken after Biden dropped out show there's a narrowing of a gap, and polls, of course, are showing tightening. And I think the polls are mostly just evidence of patterns. That's all. I don't know that they're accurate at all, but they're evidence of patterns. And so when we see a bunch of them, now I'll start patterning a certain way. I think it's important to raise an eyebrow. Whoa, what's happening over here? So Kevin Madden, a longtime Republican strategist who is a Mitt Romney person, so who cares? Investors and economists told The Hill that the Harris-Walz campaign should break free of other economic narratives and say it's unexpectedly strong. We're doing great. That's why your turkey sandwiches cost $35, $25. Now, here is some more background. Now, Nancy Pelosi was out doing this little radio interview where she was talking about how they threw Joe Biden out. And she's doing a lot of these interviews lately, and I don't really know why, but thinking, does she have a book to sell or something like that? She's explaining why Joe had to go, how she did it, and the truth is coming out about their coup.
I love him so much. I think he's been really a fantastic president of the United States. So I really wanted him to make a decision of a better campaign because they were not facing the fact of what was happening. Just a little background. I've never been that impressed with his political operation.
Wow.
Biden's operation.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I just happened. They won the White House. Bravo. Right? So my concern was this ain't happening.
Whoa.
And we have to make a decision.
This ain't happening.
This to happen. And the president has to make the decision for that to happen. Let me just say, I won't say necessarily I knew what I was doing at that time. I knew what I was doing in the whole thing, not just that
What
ship.
was that?
Donald Trump would never set foot in the White House again. So
Wild. Okay, so she straight up cooed him in the back. This ain't happening. So I love you, Joe, but like, it's not going to happen. Okay, like, you're not staying around. Here's this from Politico. Why Biden was really forced out of the race. Anita Dunn has no regrets about holding a historically early debate between Joe and Trump. Obviously, they got what they wanted. Still disputes the notion that the performance was catastrophic. In an interview, longtime Biden advisor recalled watching the debate. Voters didn't particularly like the performance in the first hour, but they liked the second half. But the fallout was devastating. The campaign's goal was to turn the race into a choice. Weeks later, Dunn thought Biden could hold on, but he didn't. They thought that they've seen this movie before. They developed a strategy to power through the media and the party mob dumping on Biden, but this time was different. Unlike Biden's core team, Pelosi, Schumer, Obama, Jeffries were never convinced. Dunn's work for Biden was over, but she's still campaigning, now headed to the Future Forward PAC.